Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are joined live here again by our friend Well Past 40, better known as David Frost, and that's the name of his company, wellpast40.com. That's the website. Again, he's a author as well, trainer, coach, and so much more. And he's here talking about all the professional services that he uses to help people in the mental health wellness business. So let me have David Frost say hello and introduce himself. How are you?
Hello, Jill. I am dandy today. We are halfway through a glorious autumn month, the month of November, and it's also Diabetes Awareness Month. And perhaps we could chat a little bit about some things that crop up in life. Adult diabetes caused by smoking, stress, or obesity impacts too many Americans, and might be interesting to chat about what we could do to offset on the individual level, offset the effects of insulin insensitivities, and also to talk about, hopefully, as a society, we can do a little bit better job as the holidays are coming of not putting on pounds.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Well, first of all, yes, I know about it being World Diabetes Week, especially I have a 5 and 7 year old at school, so they've been learning about it and all, but there's a lot to it. It's the whole month to bring up awareness, but I'm sure you know all the statistics. Could you share a little bit about diabetes in adults and children with us to start?
well, if it will help, you bet. I am not a MD. I'm a very
Hmm.
concerned citizen and taxpayer that knows that even when we can treat afflictions that come up like diabetes, it can become very expensive. And the last time I checked, our national economy doesn't need more health and sick care expenses. So 10% of Americans
Yeah.
either have or will develop diabetes. Nine of those 10% are the type 2 diabetes, not the child diabetes, which is terrible. But type 2 diabetes may arise from some combination of stress, smoking, being overweight, or perhaps genetics. But gee, if you think about 340 million Americans and you take 9% of that, that's tens of millions of Americans have problems with their insulin sensitivity, which can lead to very unhealthy things. There's some
Yeah.
studies that say even when treated, those with diabetes may die 6 years earlier than others in their village, if you will. So definitely something to be concerned about on the individual level, Jill, as well as on the national level. So good for your kids to be learning about it.
Yeah. Wearing
And
blue and all. Absolutely. And how it
uh,
affects so many people.
really, tens of millions. And some folks will always get it. It's genetic or it's just bad luck, bad joss. But when you think about smoking, stress, and obesity, we can control some of those. And by the way, it's not unique. It's very unfair. For instance, the highest percentage in America is of African American males. So it's not a level playing field, so to speak, for a very tragic condition of type 2 diabetes. So it is really, really important for folks to think about being as lean as they can, certainly not smoking, and use exercise as much as you can to help maintain a good body composition in the hopes that you will stay in the 90% that do not acquire diabetes.
Got it. Wow. And let me ask you, in regards to bringing awareness to this disease, to this cause, there's preventative things we could be doing. We should be eating different. We should be do any advice for anyone out there?
Start now because the holidays, we chatted last time that it's a sad statistic that Americans will put on between 2 and 5 pounds between Thanksgiving Day or maybe the day before Thanksgiving as you're preparing the feast and the 12th day of Christmas. And oftentimes, most or all of those 2 to 5 pounds do not go away. They stay with you. And unfortunately, it becomes evil white fat
Yeah.
around your midsection, which again leads toward obesity. Isn't it tragic that 3/4 of Americans are either overweight or obese? And this, I mean,
Wow.
food is too plentiful. We have convenience food. We have stressful, we have binge eating because of COVID or whatever. But 3/4 of us are carrying around too much white fat, which can indeed be a factor in type 2 diabetes. So, golly, folks, drink more water, eat more fiber, and think about portion control. Diet is always number one. We
Yeah.
fitness pros say we'll help you work out, but really the way to great abs and avoiding insulin problems is the refrigerator door.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so
All right. And by the way, well, my audience here, we don't really know you yet. Tell us a little more about yourself, Mr. Frost, and what you do specifically. I know we're talking
oh,
diabetes. We can get back to that, but I want to learn a little more about you.
oh, golly, well, you're so kind. You mentioned a book. Well, there's the book Kaboomer, Thriving and
Yay.
Striving into Your
Tell me
90s.
about it.
Well, I have the name David Emerson Frost. Emerson comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote about the felicities of age. And so I had that in mind. In my family tree is a pretty good author. There's also a poet named Robert Frost who is pretty good at his craft. So I thought maybe I had a book in me. But in my Phoenix-like event happened on September 11th, 2001, honest truth. I was in London with a herniated disc and severe back pain that ultimately led to lower back fusion surgery. And my own journey in prehab and rehab was religious almost. And I thought, because I've always been a fit guy, I've been joking and jockeying around now in my 70th year. I thought that if the lessons that I had acquired, Jill, might be interesting to other people and maybe could help them on their journeys
Yeah.
to live longer and live better. So yes, Kaboomer is aspirational to thrive and strive into your 90s, but starting today is better than waiting. Whether you're 40 years of age, 50 years of age, 70 years of age, motion is medicine. As a good Queen Elizabeth, God rest her soul,
Ah,
said, when you stop, you drop. And what a way to go. She was reasonably or very healthy, and then she
no.
wasn't, and she was gone. But it's a sad statistic, Jill, that 20% of the American lifespan is unhealthy. So the
Wow.
difference between lifespan
Yeah.
as those that are born later live longer,
Mhm.
yet the unhealthy years are growing. Isn't that tragic? In one of probably the most affluent nation the world has ever seen,
Yeah.
and people are living 20% of their lives in an unhealthy way, either chronic disease, metabolic syndrome, acquiring type 2 diabetes. And that's just criminal. We can do better than that. You know, it's
Yeah.
just, it's, wow. So all these things kind of roll together and say, well, I think I have a book in me.
Mm.
I'm a college prof, so I graded a lot of papers and I thought I could put sentences together
Yeah.
and maybe tell a story. So Kaboomer is a fitness primer, a field manual to try to help people do the simple yet hard things. It has a 7S model: strength, stability, stamina, stretching, don't stress, very important, clean anti-inflammatory sustenance, and restorative sleep. So those 7S's, simple yet hard things to do. If people really dig in and do the
Yeah.
work, as Tom Hanks would say, you can find yourself another 10 years of life. I mean, those are the
Wow.
statistics. And when you move, when you get stay as lean as you can, when you have
Hmm.
good attitude, when you have purpose in life, and it's just extraordinary to think about another 10 laps around the sun. I'd like to do it.
Right, me too. Look, I'm 44, and to be honest with you, I have a 7 and a 5-year-old, and I gave up working out 2014 to have my kids because I'm a single mom. I work full time. There's not enough time in the day, and everyone's like, "Well, you look great. You must be working out." No, I'm genetically lucky that I look like I'm thin, but am I really healthy? Well, perfect point in case. As of 3 weeks ago, I mean, I had bad neck pain in August. Let it go, September, October. It got so bad. I was up in the middle of the night hysterical. I said, I have to go to the emergency room. I can't deal with this. I didn't go. I made an appointment with an orthopedic the next day, got the x-ray, just did the MRIs, started physical therapy, and just got the results back yesterday. And I have a herniated disc in my neck. And here I am thinking, I sit a lot for my job. I'm bending with my kids all day, going to sports, my neck. I'm not taking care of myself. And I need to start. So one thing I said yesterday, I'm going to cry to the doctor, is I'm going to be better. I'm going to make the time to work out, to make these muscles stronger, to make my neck stronger. So I don't feel like this. I want to live as long as I can and live healthy as I can. And so I had a rude awakening of a lesson. And again, it's just a herniated disc. People have it worse, but it's
Not
so
just a
painful.
herniated disc.
It,
That's
it, it goes all the way down my, so painful. I can't sleep. See, I'm crying. And I learned a lesson that why not? I need to start taking care of my body more. I have to make the time to start doing this because this is my shell. I need to take care of it in order to survive and take care of my children. And I'm lacking the self-care department. And, right. A lot of people do that.
it's the Middle Ages when tune-ups are. I was 49 when I had my spine fused,
Oh my
and that
goodness. Tell me.
so the 40s are a tough decade, Jill. And what you just described, thank you for sharing. It is so imperative to align your body, to have your skeletal muscle support your connective tissue and skeleton to hopefully minimize without surgery your herniated disc. But if you have surgery, your prehab and rehab will be better if you're stronger.
Yeah, they mentioned that. That's obviously the last option. Now I got to meet with a medical doctor and discuss, but boy, oh boy. I mean, yeah, I we're an awakening. I woke up and I said, I got to start. And I think that's an important message that you're trying to get across to our listeners as well, and the people you help about taking care of our bodies.
Amen.
Amen. So was that see, I don't know your whole journey and your story since this is the first time we're talking today, but what inspired you to get into this field?
Well, as I shared, I've been jockeying and joking around for 70 years now. When I couldn't do a pull-up as a Boy Scout, I wanted to get I wanted to get the merit badge and become an Eagle Scout. I was a pudgy little kid, couldn't do a pull-up. I said, well, if I want to achieve my goals, I better start working. Then normal stuff, high school sports. I was lucky enough to row heavyweight crew for the U.S. Naval Academy. And that really was those two things, the Boy Scouts and my life-defining experiences as a pretty good varsity athlete helped set me up for life. But guess what? In the 40s was when I blew my disc out. And was it because of a misaligned spine or whatever? But I did not take care of myself. So preventative is always better than after the effect. So good for you. And if I may share, not from my story, but for your story, you can break up very important things. You're very busy, but to do wall presses, between your shows, if you can do wall presses or air squats, certainly stretching your neck would also help. These are important.
I'm on it now
things.
as I'm talking to you. I'm thinking because it hurts. But yes, you're right. All these things I could do. There's a wall next to me. I could sit there, put like I'm learning in PT, put the ball in the back and work that. And then there's special. I look at my chair. I have a regular chair. I need a special chair, I was told. So I got this. This is trying to help me to sit on a special thing for my back, but I really should have something supportive of my back. And I got a special pillow delivered yesterday from Amazon to help sleeping. And I got a special neck brace type thing to start stretching and learning about my own posture. So I'm now aware and I'm now trying to make up for lost time in hopes it can help, but I really have to stick with it. And
good for you.
I appreciate you listening to my little story.
Well, it's not yours is not a unique situation, is it, Jill? There are millions of people. 60 to 70% of all Americans will have chronic pain from either a herniated disc or arthritis or an autoimmune thing. And believe it or not, in many cases, the right motion often helps. Motion is truly medicine. And the things that you mentioned, a chair support, a better pillow. We need to spend quality restorative sleep. Even when you're a busy mom with 2 kiddos, if you don't get your 6 to 8 hours of restorative sleep, you're not going to be the same Jill the next day. And that is so important. Folks can burn because your brain is such a marvelous engine, computer. You burn a lot of calories with the restorative sleep. Your body gets rested, your mind gets rested. You don't have brain fog the next day, and you're ready to go. So, don't underestimate the importance of the appliances, a good pillow, a firm bed, a cool bedroom, maybe taking a warm bath 90 minutes before you go to bed if you have time in your busy life. These are things that can help you work your way to become a centenarian and thrive and strive into your 90s. So go for it.
That's what we want to do. Thank you. And just remind our listeners how we can reach out to you. Please share your contact information.
Oh, sure. Info at Well Past 40. The website, as you nicely shared, is Well Past 40. My first book, Kaboomer, is available wherever fine books are sold. It's in Kindle, audio, paperback, hardback. My second book, Strong to Save, interesting, you should mention strength training to align your skeleton, should be out in the summer of 2023. Those in the middle ages need to focus on functional strength. I believe that that will help you keep your neck aligned, in addition to the other things that you do, so on and so forth. So well past 40, and I just love to chat one-on-one, work with small groups to try to help them on their journey so that their health span is long and is like Queen Elizabeth, very close to their lifespan. We've got to fix this equation where 20% of your years are unhealthy years, Jill. That isn't right.
No, not at all. Wow. And what else in particular did you want to share with us today about the work you're doing and you could help our listeners and types of services you provide?
Oh, sure. So if I may just share, it's important to be a student of your endeavor, just like you're learning the things that can help you on your journey for rehab of your neck. Know the odds to beat the odds. If you want to live longer than the actuarial 77 years for males or 80 years for women, you have to start now. Again, if you're born later, you may live longer, but unfortunately, the unhealthy years are growing, and that isn't right. So how do we do it? I recommend a tailored combination of strength, stability, stamina, stretching, anti-inflammatory eating, restorative sleep, and chilling, stressing not, because chronic stress is so hard. Isn't it ironic, Jill, that in the holidays, the most wonderful time of the year, really isn't wonderful for many people? And so now is a perfect time to think about not gaining those 2 pounds. It's a perfect time to chill and offset cortisol or stress. It's a wonderful time to generate the hugging hormone, oxytocin. So let's make it the most wonderful time of the year. And if anybody has any questions, they can reach me at info@wellpast40 to talk about some of those simple yet hard steps, Jill.
I love it. Thank you so much. Wellpast40.com. And again, it's spelled out FORTY.com, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Also, I don't know how many shows have you done so far, by the way?
I've been lucky to work with you folks 5 times. First session, we talked about 5 M's to address chronic pain. It was music, mates, motion, mutts, and happy hormones or monoamines. The second one, we did talk about those 7 S's. Believe it or not, during COVID, somebody did a study that said the average American's worth is $10 million.
Oh, wow.
Well, if I'm worth $10 million, I better protect that investment. So I argue that those 7 S's can help you protect your $10 million or more investment by doing smart things in strength work and stability and stretching. As folks get older, 1/3 of us fall every year. And if your bone density is not good from weight-bearing exercise and taking the right micronutrients, unfortunately more for women than men, you might fracture something, break something, and your quality of life suffers or worse. So strength, stability, stamina, very important. The #1 killer of Americans, cardiovascular disease. Some of that is genetic, but 80% is not moving enough and being overweight. So moving 30 minutes, generating a sweat is terribly important. Then we talked about mind-body alignment in our other session. And last session, we did talk about cool weather workouts. Just because it's cold doesn't mean we have to stay inside. Technology and clothing says you can get out there. The best workout temperature, believe it or not, Jill, is 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's not use cool weather as an excuse. Our bodies thrive in cool weather. And we did, again, talk about holiday wellness, this most wonderful time of the year coming up starting next Thursday. Oftentimes is not the most wonderful time of the year. And hopefully we can think about doing the simple yet hard things to, again, restore the wonderfulness to it. So
beautiful. I love it. Yeah, we have all this coming up, and now the holidays here, the stress, the anxiety, and the food, the bad eating habits. Can you talk specifically about some of the clients without maybe using your names, but some of the things you work with them on?
Oh, I'm blessed now, again, in my 70th year, and I find it being a peer, many folks who seek physical training like kind of the mirror. Sometimes they don't want a younger trainer, 2 generations younger than you. If you have palsies, if you have Parkinson's, if you have muscular dystrophy or aging. So my niche is more for the senior healthcare and wellness. I love working with folks and trying to help them think about that mind-body alignment where, yes, they can. If they can get up from a chair, Jill, they're an athlete. They're athletes. Sorry, I'm supposed to be grammatically correct. They're athletes.
Yeah.
So if they can get up from the chair, I encourage them to think about moving, emulate Jack LaLanne or Queen Elizabeth. When you stop, you drop. Keep moving. So that's my niche. I do work in youth rowing. I'm a coach for high school kids, but my oldest client is 92, so he
Wow.
has back problems. But again, if you have a joie de vivre and want to live longer and live better, motion is medicine, supported by a diet that'll keep your engine humming. So
Awesome. Wow. I love it. I love it. What any things we should be eating or doing now? I mean, I got my water, I got tea in front of me. But any advice you want to give our listeners about that? Because a lot of us, we always say everyone says you're dehydrated. Drink water, drink water. I mean, is that just a simple thing that have you learned any advice that you want to share, whether it's the water or what to eat or any daily routines? What could we be doing, Mr. Frost?
start early, make your bed and start early. Some say drinking 2 16-ounce glasses of water before your coffee or tea or your breakfast is important, so you don't start the day dehydrated. Remember, if you slept 7 or 8 hours without water in your sleep hours, you're at a little bit of a deficit. Half of your body is water, about. So we need to restore that to regulate body temperature, help flush out the lymph system, and so on. So just like you did, have that water close by, sip constantly or regularly, not constantly. And if you get tired of drinking plain water, put a spritz of a lemon in it or lime or something.
Yep.
Stay away from the diet sodas if you can, just because of artificial things.
Yep.
Jack LaLanne said, if man made it, don't eat it. So try to eat as natural as you can. And of course, portion control. I would think that you're in the minority of folks that don't have a weight problem, Jill. Stay
Yep.
that way. Your lower body, if you take a step, I weigh 210. When I take a step, my knees and ankles absorb 630 pounds with every step. So that's a compelling reason, I think, to not. Now, I'm blessed to have low body fat, but it's still a lot of weight bearing on my joints. So it's the way you stay healthy is to move those joints and have strong connective tissue and muscles. And I just hope that folks get serious about doing things like our forebears used to do. If you didn't hunt, you didn't eat, you know. So
Yeah.
let's be hunters and trappers,
Yeah.
not fall back to convenience food, processed food, hidden fats, zombie fats, and put on those pounds over the holidays, Jill.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness. And we are almost out of time. We still have 3 minutes left on the show today. And I'm just getting to know you and our listeners in this new audience getting to know you. What else in particular you think is important for us to drive home today with the show?
Oh, if I may, if you think about the village people, or let's think about a village of 100 people. These I have some statistics that might, again, know your odds to beat your odds. If you have a village of 100 people in a normal zip code, maybe it's Greenwich Village, maybe it's our East Village here in San Diego, 51 are women, 49 are men. Women live longer. The younger you are, the chances you're going to live longer. But you may be unhealthy if you don't start doing the proper things now, as you shared on your journey. I think you're a Generation X person, not to typify
I'm
you in the demographic.
1978. I don't know. What does that mean? I'm 44.
60. It's the shortest generation, born between 64 and 80. So yeah, so you're a trailing Generation X. The last person in your generation may live until the year 2108.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Medicare is going to support that person for a lot of years. But wouldn't it be nice to support him with health care, not sick care? So we mentioned that 3/4 of that village are overweight or obese, and that's tragic. 10% have or will get diabetes, half have sleep disorders. Almost everyone's deficient in micronutrients
Yeah.
because we're not getting a good vitamin plant, as I call it. If I can read some statistics,
Yeah.
90 of the villagers are deficient in potassium, 70 are deficient in calcium, which is, of course, is really important for the ladies for bone density. 80 of them are deficient in vitamin E, a fat-soluble vitamin, and half are deficient in all vitamin A, C, and magnesium, which is really bad for metabolism, for their metabolic rates and their ability to build muscle and do amazing things. So goodness, folks, if we eat better and move, chances are you're going to live longer, have a great health span and a great lifespan. It's just, if you want to become a village elder in whatever that village is, know your risks, offset what you can, change bad lifestyle habits. I mean, or embrace positive habits, portion control in the holidays, and drink lots of water, like you said.
Yeah.
And just remember, motion is medicine. Or maybe that village of 100 to play pickleball. Play pickleball. Social sports are really good. So maybe there's a way that you can find, not just watching your kiddos play youth sports, but maybe you can find a pickleball court there in New York City. So be positive. You're going to live a long time, live longer, live better, and by doing the simple yet hard things, Jill.
Well, thank you again for joining us today and being here on the show. Would you mind sharing all forms of contact again, David Frost?
Oh,
remind us how we could reach you.
Sure. Probably the easiest way is info@wellpast40. And as you nicely shared, that's spelled out wellpast.forty.com. Phone number is area code 858, San Diego area code 925-3895. That's 858-925-3895. And there is a contact form at my main website, wellpast40.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you. Looking forward to the next time we get to speak, possibly. If not, best of luck with you. Happy Thanksgiving. Healthy holidays to you and your family. And thanks for getting to know us today and vice versa.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.